Hi, my name is Alexis Cohen, and I'm the host of Art Medicine Masterclass. Discover how to overcome fear, trust your intuition, and stand in your creative power. In this series, over 20 artists, healers, advocates, and teachers teach us from their wisdom how to align with our creative purpose and vision in the world. And today we are here with Aliky. She is a spiritual healer for entrepreneurs, and she helps success-focused and spiritually minded people align with the frequency of the divine to co-create abundance in all areas of their lives. She helps entrepreneurs heal burnout by teaching them how to repair their connection to source energy. Aliky, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited about this.
Me too. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's a delight to connect with you and you listening or watching this right now. So thank you for being here.
Yes, absolutely. So if you could share with us how you came to your work and how it has evolved over time.
So firstly, there's two ways of answering that question. The first one would be, well, it's what I love to do. It really genuinely is. And you feel that from me as I talk or share from my love and wisdom that's from my heart. Secondly, it kind of came without a choice. And I would say with my background on multiple levels, from athletics, gymnastics, acrobatics, music, art, mathematics, school, education, degrees, Chinese medicine, etheric, esoteric studies, yoga, everything that I was interested in was something that I genuinely had a desire to learn and became enthusiastic about it, to learn to a level of some sort of mastery where I applied it in my own life. And that's where I come from, my authentic self to you, to share that it's kind of like a system that I've started to learn and create as I've applied what I've applied, as I share and grow through that and mentor and help and lead others. So what is it called? What does it do? What is my body of work? Well, it's almost what do you need to do or need to emerge your greatest gifts. And so to the degree I can support that and that transition to help someone get to the other side, I do. And obviously, there's a specific type of, woman or man or child that I support and serve. But ultimately, I love to be relevant and help. And so if, back to your point, it's I leverage source or spirit or God, the universal laws, the abundance around us to help support and bring that, to somebody to help solve a problem or empower their vision. And basically it's to heal and repair the spirit and even the physical ailment or the body so that greatness can emerge and be realized so that you can have and experience more fulfillment. So that's the way I kind of encapsulate the essence of it. And being is more about it. It's about what can we do to get to a frequency of love. So my background is quite extensive, labels, certificates, all that stuff, degrees. But ultimately I'm just me and here to serve.
Yeah, and I thought we had a fantastic conversation before we even started this interview, and I'm still buzzing from what we've been talking about. Especially so this series is really about stepping into power, and I was sharing with you a little bit that doing this whole project, I was feeling very called to go bigger and hold my power in a bigger way. And, I'm used to art projects where it's a little bit more of a sprint, and this is more of it's more of a sustained project. So I'm working with stretching myself with endurance, but then also holding greater frequency. And so I would love to just hear from you what you can share with us about how to do that, especially around like the burnout piece.
Yep. So I love the word that you used is sustain. Okay. I'm going to pick on that a little. I think it's beautiful. You said creative frequency. Okay. And frequency. I go into that a lot because at the end of the day, everything is about love in some shape or form, whether we perceive it to be good or bad. And I say this, to you watching and listening, no matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love. I'll say that again. No matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love. And that calling, or whatever it is you feel you're here to do, it's the what. The how starts to turn up when you're in the poise and the presence and the power of you and your essence. And, all of the signs are always around us. So I'll go back to, so sustainability. I love that term because, even the enlightenment or the path of enlightenment or evolution, there's sustainability, because if there's not, we start to experience stress or the inability to adapt to an ever-changing environment, because the way the universe works is to grow into a bigger, better, evolutionary, entity, right? The universe, that encompasses everything. And for us to mimic that or to do that, there's the stretching, and the growing and the contracting, or, the emotions or the traits we call the fear that keep us in the future, the guilt in the past, or the efficiencies or inefficiencies, but all we really have is now. So when you tap in and cultivate your power, which requires, and by the way, this time that we're connecting is so beautiful because it's the 9 days of Mother Divine. We're actually wrapping up the first 3 days of Durga right now. A lot of purification, and then followed by the actual Lakshmi, or the Lakshmi and the like just beautiful abundance of wealth and riches, and abundance or creativity or frequency of everything that's more of love. And then thirdly, followed by Saraswati, the wisdom, that love and wisdom that you will never lose. It's just you learn more. And also as you connect more to you and your essence and your creative self connecting to universal cosmic consciousness or unified field will download in to you and your essence that has you access more of who you were, who you are, and who you're here to be. And a few of you will resonate with that. So sustainability to me, and look, I've, in corporate, performed in sales, in marketing, quarter on quarter, year on year, and managed to sustain, growth and performance because I don't fail, but then you can reach a point of burnout. Now for women, and men, when you don't nurture and cultivate yourself or time with universe or being or power or who you are, which is so much more than what we see, our spiritual structures are so much more vast than the extremities in the body and what we physically see. When you nourish your essence and bring that in and cultivate more of that essence, you actually simply have more of your essence and enthusiasm and inspiration, not motivation. So that you become more self-sustained. I'll start making sense in a minute. You start becoming more self-sustained as a being to end up doing with enthusiasm, with co-creation, with universe support, people, places, things, resources, because you're magnetizing and attracting them, because you're saying, like any business person who's successful or any, mother who's in surplus versus depletion, whether you're mothering a child or mothering others, there's nothing missing. You're replenishing yourself with the abundance of nature in the universe that's abundant. That can manifest as prosperity, as money, can manifest as a relationship that's teaching you to love your disowned parts or helping you grow. That's, teaching you so many things, men, money, business, that's kind of what we do here in this duality and this planet. But coming back to sustainability, it's really about taking the time out to understand what replenishes you, what keeps you in surplus, and what you enjoy doing. And so as you're doing that, you might have a big vision that's bigger than you, because that's natural for a woman and a man who's visioned and envisioned with enthusiasm to create, cultivate, co-create, right? I've created a child. God knows how I did that. I was just a vessel and an instrument. And the more we be, the more we can be and give through us as an instrument versus of us, which can also deplete us. So I say that back to sustainability. If you have a plan, then I invite you to factor in your plan self-nurture, self-replenishment, self-love, and self-nourishment, and that which creates more creativity. And then you can apply it because there's a structure that enables you to gift it and be it and do it, action or inaction, and also magnetize the resources that you need. So you're more fulfilled, you feel like you're in your greatness, and you can get stuff done efficiently. That's sustainability to me. And I'm kind of painting a picture because I've experienced it on so many levels. I've been mentoring and coaching and healing, or even teaching physically in groups or workshops for years. I've been, presenting to large audiences. There's one of me up on stage, 600 people out there. They're all eyes on me, or some people are sort of asleep at the wheel, whatever they're doing, if they're present or not. And it's like, that's a big expectation. So how can I be me on a small scale and a grand scale, but be me and love me and be powerful in me? Because the more I can be me, the more I can give to others, because that's part of my vision. So sustainability is it's kind of, yeah. And if you're not doing sustainable practices and you're in burnout, but you still love to do the work, then you want to question, what's the signs? Like, what are the signs that you can pick yourself up on burnout? Because burnout is, to me, it's like depletion mode. I'm working from depletion. So I'll tell you this. If you're not in love frequency or some sort of creativity or poise or presence or power, you could potentially be creating more of that less than presence. Like the wounded healer that's healing people to heal themselves. No, It's not about, it's about serving that person and helping them get to where they're getting. That sounds like I'm being selfless, but in a way I'm not. It's kind of, we're going into a kind of interesting realm, but I will say this: if you are in your poise and in your heart, you cannot fail, because you're grounded and connected to the abundance of nature. And when you find that, you create from that, you receive from that, and then you can put a plan in place to execute so that you can replenish yourself to be that sustainably. The big vision can have multitude of steps, but if you do something highly effective with presence for at least half an hour for 7 years, you'll become a master in that area. Anyway, that's kind of the train of thought I'm thinking. Hopefully I'm painting the picture for you, answering that question, Alexis, but also for you listening when we're experiencing burnout and want more sustainability to do what we love. There is a plan that has to happen. If you fail to plan, then plan to fail. But at the end of the day, you're still going to end up in the right place. You just want to pick the middle road, because you're designed to evolve and yearn and create. That's why we're here.
I love what you're saying about how having a creative vision is natural. That when you're taking yourself, that it's, of course, that this is the natural state, the overflow, that you're going to want to create more. And it also dawned on me when you were saying, when we're creating out of depletion, I notice this in myself and I see this in others. It's so willful, it's like, that's like the fuel, like it's the will that's just trying to push us forward. And that's what we're creating. But when I hear you, it's like when you're connected to spirit, it's this abundant, we're coming from this abundant place, and it's spirit moving through us to create.
Absolutely beautifully said. Thank you. And one point also is, look, I know what it's like to feel or have been or experienced burnout. I wouldn't teach, because again, like I said, what I do and what I love became almost like a lifeline at some point, versus, me doing anti-aging, beautiful stuff, nourishing the self inside and out, spiritual stuff. The human spirit is so resilient. When you think there's nothing left, that's the point where everything comes in. The way the universe was created from a point of nothing, it's that complete oxymoron. So when you when you worship the mind or the emotions or buy into that, that creates that frequency and more of it. When you're in your poise and your heart, no one will reject your heart, but they can reject your projections. So finding that place and being from that place when you are creating, when you are reaching out, when you are sharing is ideal. So cultivate that. That's what I say, so that you do have more sustainability and you do get to do more of what you love. Because if we've got will, right? If our lower wills align with our higher will, and then the Paratma will, like the Brahma, whatever it is, God's will, spirit, source, you label it whatever you want. There's another force beyond us. I think we all know that. But when we align ourselves on all levels, we can move through so much more efficiently in the middle road, and it feels more in flow. If we have to recharge, then we know how to replenish by being and receiving. And then you can act or enact. So you almost like observe and then make a change or a transmutation, or, and then move forward in action or inaction. Easiest way to describe it. There's obviously a system or a process to sort of identify that and get to that point and whatnot. But if it is not from love frequency, at least from a place of poise, the frequency of what we create becomes, what is reflected to us outside of us. And so we don't want to create mess. We want to create something that's ideal and beautiful all of the time.
Yeah. That co-creation piece too, one of our guests, Jennifer Hadley, we were speaking about this too, how she teaches A Course in Miracles, and how we're always creating, whether we're doing it consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously. Like, we are creative beings, so we're always creating. So if we're filled with stress, we're just going to keep creating more of that in our lives. And so it's really makes sense to be filled with this frequency of love, because then that's what you're...
So just harp on that point for a moment, Alexis. If you're stressed and you're not mastering it, or to see how it's serving you or what you perceive is missing, well, the universe and God hasn't designed your existence to be in lack or in suffering. It actually hasn't been designed that way. If you really knew who you were. So one high quality question I invite the listeners to look at is almost ask yourself, what specifically am I missing in my life? What do I perceive as missing? And you'd be like, oh, that's easy. I've got a list of 20 things. Okay. Just write that down. And then I want you to find out, what form is it existent at present? And if you go deeper in the journey of the question, it's not really the thing or the person or the place, it's the feeling that you're craving to be triggered by something outside of you, inside of you. And if you didn't yearn it or didn't desire it, it's part of you, it's part of your makeup and what's natural for you. So you want to follow the signs. And if you're needing to learn the lesson to arrive at some one thing versus in the many form and the one, then that's okay too. But if you perceive as something missing, there is a form of which it exists right now. And when you usually dig deep, it's usually around how you feel, what you perceive missing with your values. And so when we are stressed or we perceive things as missing, the universe will see energy and emotion around it. So if you think something's missing, then so be it. You're manifesting that by saying it repeatedly. And then it's like, well, where's that coming from? Let's go back down the wire. What happened between 0 and 7? And you start to uncover so many aha moments in this and how you're being trained subtly, you get the breadcrumb, the bubble, the idea, whatever. And then if you don't hear it the first time, you get a shoe in the head, then it may be a brick or, some sort of crisis that's here to take you back to love. So, yeah, you want to be aware and mindful of that. And I think that those are really two high-quality questions that incite a lot of aha But back to what you said, if you are stressed or you're projecting stress or blaming others for it, that's just going to come back to you because you're creating more of that. It's very simple math, actually. And I say that lovingly. I'm not saying it to be cold, because I understand what being hurt means, or some sort of trauma, or being abused, or whatever it is, on what level. I get that. But it's your chance to put your hand up for yourself. And if you're on this call with Alexis and a few of us, you're probably here to serve ever greater numbers of people with your uniqueness, because no one's younger than you. And so to put your hand up with courage and to master that for yourself will mean you can help self and others alleviate their suffering on the way. Because your presence and your heart and your being and your creativity and your essence, by being the full you, is almost all you need to be. So I hope that helped paint sort of that picture.
Yes, absolutely. And so you used a word that I think would be really helpful to go into a little bit more deeply. You use the word transmute, and I was reading some of your work, and you talk about transmuting stress into gold, and I love that phrase. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So I'll say this, and some of you may actually feel this, but when you get a sign, right, or an emotion or a trait that's triggered, I'll go back to, if you label it so the mind isn't so nebulous about it, sort of going off into the storytelling that we tell ourselves. If you can just label one thing, almost like sequester it, focus on it, and go into that charge, right, what that is. So I'm going to give you the two ways. It's tough when you're kind of in the mind and the emotion, you've got all these tools, you're like, how am I going to surrender those? You know, that's kind of like, that's a bit of a process, 10-mile run, hit the zone, or some sort of meditation to get there. That's fine. I get that. There's a rajasic or a non-rajasic way, or receiving, or samadhi. Like, I can just get the samadhi going, and some of you may feel that from me. But I'll talk about the kind of left brain analysis or the universal law, and then I'll go into the soul side. So transmuting stress into gold means you've actually identified what is stressing you, the feeling or the trait that it's causing you to feel. It could be triggered by person, place, or thing. Let's take that person away because they've been a gift and they've shown you something you need to master in you. So one, we label the trait. Then we look at, okay, what's the opposite to that trait? Okay, if I'm feeling disrespected, simple one, right? A lot of people can identify that. Oh, so disrespectful, right? That makes me feel disrespected when he or she does that. It's usually a person. Animals in nature, they always turn up for you. They always turn up for you. What's the opposite to feeling disrespected? Respected, honored, loved. Well, who honors you and loves you, respects you right now? No one. Look harder. Well, you respect yourself enough to take the time out for you. Is there a child that looks up to you? Is there a dog at home that just respects you and loves you no matter what? The sun and the moon turn up for you every day. I don't know about you, but I appreciate that. I go out in the sun whenever I can, the wisdom in the sun. And you start to see how what you're labeling as disrespect is apparent in the many as respect. And then you fill the gap that you perceive missing of the void. Well, where and who do I perceive respecting me? Well, when that happens to me, what's the benefit of that? Well, self-respect, self-love, self-nurture, non-tolerable behavior, speaking my truth, being independent, communicating, learning the art of communication, listening to that person for where they're coming from to understand what is true in their values, so I can communicate my values in terms of theirs and have some of intention synergy match to neutralize the charge, blah, blah, blah. So when you go into that, that helps you transmute the stress into gold. So gold I use almost symbolic of your soul's ray of healing and regeneration, or whatever it is that needs to come in. But when we're talking, but this is the way, and I know it's like, who are we? Creator knows the way better than us. So if we assert what we think we know and what we expect in this form and how, blah, 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 we're not listening. We're not surrendered in that safe mode where our soul is safe to receive the wisdom and the intuition and the guidance and the knowing without knowing that we're actually meant to get by having the connection to the direct phone line to our God, our source, our spirit, our heart, and the soul's ray that's trying to come in to give us that wisdom. When you surrender, you hear it more quickly, more rapidly, more effectively. And you can probably feel that from me. This didn't happen overnight. There's cultivation that happens. But that's how, when I can hold that space as you listening, and I know you, Alexis, with your beautiful work in art and medicine, and serving people the way you do, visually and also physically with your being. For some of you listening right now, when you be, and you can hear and listen to someone going through something you went through or are learning through to learn through other people, but can hold your heart for them, all they need is love or to be held. The more love you be, the more they transmute. So that's, see how I go very quiet, because it's whoever is meant to hear or feel whatever they're meant to feel right now, you'll receive that. I hope that answered the question.
Oh, yeah. I think that's such a great, that process that you described was really great, because it's, it's simple, but so effective that, like, okay, you just need to identify what it is that you're feeling, what is the opposite of that, and then following it down that road, because I think sometimes people get hung up. It's hard to move through, just what you're saying, move through the feeling. Yeah.
The struggle is real. Like, honestly, the struggle and the suffering is real. But if I can pull anxiety out of someone's brain and spinal cords and fluids and the emotional toxins around it, boom, if they want it, I'll do it. Because I don't want you to suffer. I want you to be here to do what you're here to do, to help ever greater numbers of people and cultivate that. Because I know this struggle is real. Like, I'm in my 40s now, past the 40. So it's like, it's not like stuff was never done unto me, or I didn't see stuff that I learned through either. It's like when we keep telling ourselves the stories, we've got these matrix or structures that we really believe is truth. But your truth is your essence. And, it's kind of interesting. I mean, that was just a little technique which you take away and have many aha moments. But there's so much more to that. And so much more wisdom and love gets revealed through that mode. As you transcend and you transmute, because the ionic nature of charge, negative charge, positive charge, there's ways you can leverage nature and the abundance of nature to neutralize charge, cause and effect in space and time, and birth light, so that you're not carrying that burden anymore. You're transmuting it, and you can help other people through it, and it's a breakthrough. One level after the other, when you get more of those breakthroughs, you see things on the way versus in the way, that's sustainability. Your energy, body, and sustainability grows. And you might hit another point of inflection, but you have the wisdom and the love to know, and the tools, the universally applicable tools to master the next level. Master the next level. To the point where you're more celestial versus terrestrial. And you alleviate suffering in self and others. And you do not suffer. Because you don't worship the mind and the emotions. That's a concept. That's a whole other thing. So, I hope that helped.
Yeah, and can you, I know you have an offer for the audience too. Can you tell us a little bit about this? It's very aligned with what we're talking about, I think.
So the alignment and the aligning right there is something that I share with an energy transmission that's just for you in a short, very short guided meditation. But there's a specific technique in there that will help you align and come into your presence, poise, and your personal power that you can cultivate and be okay with and grow into at any moment in time to be the best you. and transcend or transmute. And then once you find that poise and you leverage that meditation, you can then, you know, tune into your intuition, soul, what wisdom you have at this moment. There's no right or wrong. You know, you start to write and express that, and also identify what's important to you by your values. You know, when you're really true to yourself, that enthusiasm, that contagious, that I don't even love the word passion, because you're passing through the ions, you're passing through the charge. If you're on mission, you're missing the charge. You're kind of taking the middle road, and you're evolving without fear and guilt. You're being that full environmental, physical, mental, emotional sort of being in harmony as you move forward. So, yeah, it helps you transmute some of the stress, and you can label it, and there's a little exercise, but mostly the guided meditation. Some people have practiced that for like 4 or 5 days in a row and messaged me and said that a relationship at work has shifted. They've shifted. They've just felt, you know, a lot lighter. I mean, how do I tangibly say, oh, you know, my gift is helping people feel lighter? Take it how you will. But, you know, lighter and light that you have, be that. And more, cultivate more self-love. And that's really what this tool does.
Yeah, I'm listening to you, and it's, you know, you're really teaching people, you're really teaching us how to have a healthy, creative vessel, and how to have an expansive vessel so we can create bigger, longer, wider, and, you know, as opposed to like trying to run so much creative energy through our systems and really burn out or not be able to sustain it. So this has been so helpful.
This, thank you. And I hope it is, because when I really truly speak or share, I'm feeling it with my heart and my being. That's why sometimes you feel that stillness, or, you know, it's the heart. It's my being. I'm totally channeling with what we need to hear and be at this time with relevance, so that I can be of greater service to you, you know, and that's what we're here to do. And I've been cultivating and energy building and nourishing my spiritual structures. And this isn't just a whole superfoods conversation. Look, I have a lot of tricks, right? There's a lot of authentic and effective, high quality, environmental, physical, mental, spiritual, nourishing factors that I do to encompass that harmony, to hold the gifts, so I can be more of in my gifts to serve. And that's what, if you know, you're resonating with, because that's you too. And each of us have our own unique way of sharing. So I hope that resonates, and I encourage you and invite you to just try the meditation. I'd love to hear feedback if you want to reach out or have a one-on-one with me as well. But Alexis, I love what you're doing. I think, as we said before, you know, even when you look at leaders of an organization, their vision and their strategy, the creativity is required to do that on a sustainable way. And people, when they're not in their creative juices and they're not nourishing themselves creatively and allowing them that freedom, you know, I'm a free spirit, very free-spirited like you are. You know, we don't use our hands and body and everything as much as we used to, you know. This is an art that I, you know, would love to see people learn more about your work and inspire that art and bring that creativity into their life, because it's beautiful. I mean, you know, even a beautiful soul that I've had in my life for a while is an artist, you know, and as a man, when you're an artist and you do what you love and you're just painting, creating, and you just got to do more of what you love, man or woman. Find that creativity and birth more of it into the world. Bring it, because we need it. The linear math, right, wrong stuff, enough already. There's enough of that. Enough degrees, enough of that.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us today. This has been wonderful, and I can't wait to do your meditation.
Thank you, Alexis. Thank you all for listening and being with us today. And as a part of a collective that's getting together, facilitated by Alexis. So more of it, and go out there and do what you're here to do. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And please check out the rest of the series. Bye.